Welcome to the the-devereux-committee-of-pro wrestling, presented by the Idiot Radio Network, offering a weekly look into the world of professional wrestling with guest interviews, news, results, and much more. Now here's your host, Stephon-Devereux. And we are back. Here's Stephon-Devereux and the Devereux Committee-of-Pro Wrestling. And wrestling fans, huge interview today. Once we get everything connected, because you know we are on location, and once we get everything connected, we're going to have an interview with a legend, a pro wrestling legend. This man has been everywhere. I was watching this man when I was a child, and I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm getting up there. But he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Here we got my man,
Hello?
Brickhouse-brown.
Yes. Hey, what's going on, my brother?
My man, how are you doing?
I can't complain. Every day above ground is a good day, my friend.
Yeah, I can't complain either. Well, I was going to get into...
trust me, if you do, nobody want to listen to it anyway, man. What's going on, my brother?
Well, I'll put it like this. You know, I was telling the audience a little bit that I was watching you when I was a child. Not that young.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I wasn't that young. But I like to say child. But you're one of the most charismatic wrestlers that I've seen growing up. And when I got into the wrestling business, you were one of the guys that I actually wanted to be like. Now, not trying to, blow smoke up your butt or anything like that, but it's the truth, and it's an honor. It is truly an honor for me to have you on the show today. And let's get into this.
Okay.
Tell us how you got started. Tell us how you got started in the wrestling business.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm going to try to make it a short story because there's nobody in professional wrestler that have ever gotten into the wrestling business the way I did. I'm from Florida, and I was a wrestling fan, and I used to watch championship wrestling from Florida, and I used to go to the matches, and I've always had, a good workout ethic, so I've always had a body, and God blessed me with good genes, and I found out where the wrestlers was working out at, which was Tampa Fitness Center. So, of course, I joined, and I became friends with some of the wrestlers, where this guy by the name of Jerry Gray told me where to get some boots and tights made. So back then, it was K&H, wrestling gear. And I got my boots and tights made, and I was smart enough to see on Southwest Championship Wrestling, which was the first syndicated wrestling show before WWE went worldwide, or World Class went worldwide. There was Southwest Championship Wrestling on USA Cable. And I was smart enough to see that they didn't have a black wrestler. So I called up Mr. Bill Apter, who at that time was the editor for Inside Wrestling Magazine. And he gave me promoters' phone numbers and addresses because I sent him some pictures and asked him what he thought my chances would be. And he said, good. And, of course, he gave me Joe Blanchard's phone number, and I called Joe Blanchard in San Antonio and told him I had been wrestling 2 years with some of the small rinky-dink promotions because back then there was no videos or anything that they could, require you to, to send to see if you could wrestle. So, Of course, with me being on the 8x10s and the wrestling boots and tights, they believed what I was telling them. But in reality, I had never been trained, never been in a wrestling ring. And when he gave me my start date, which was May 2nd, 1982, I was overjoyed. And I went back to Tampa Fitness Center, where the guys was working out at. And I told all the guys, I'm going to San Antonio. I'm going to be on Southwest Championship Wrestling. And my real name is Fred Seawright. And I remember Jack Briscoe was there. And Jack said, remember, Fred, when you go, the wrestling business, the guys pull a lot of ribs on a lot of the new guys. Okay, just remember that. That they wouldn't smart me up because they thought it was funny as hell that I was going to go to a starting date and never been trained. So anyway, I get to San Antonio, but before that, I'm sitting at home in my living room in St. Petersburg, Florida, and every week one of the guys would mention my name. And by that time, Joe Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's dad, is the one that gave me the name Brickhouse. He said, son, say your name like you're getting ready to wrestle. And I said, from Miami, Florida, weighing 235 pounds, Frederick Seawright. He said, see, that sounds like a loser. he said, nobody is going to back a Frederick Seawright. He said, well, you're built like a brick, you know, with a house. And he said, we're going to call you Brickhouse. And he said, let's think of something to go with Brickhouse. So he came up with Brown, and that's how I got the name Brickhouse-Brown, courtesy of Joe Blanchard. But anyway, so cool. I'm sitting at home watching the television every week, and these guys are giving me mad plugs. You know, you'd have Bobby Jaggers come on, you got this black wrestler coming in, Brickhouse-Brown, been all over the world, and I hadn't been nowhere. Been all over the world, and, you know, but they were trying to build me up because they hadn't had a black wrestler there in a few years. And they wanted me to, you know, to be over by the time I came there. So all the guys had to give me a plug on the TV, like they were waiting for me to come, and they had something for me and this and that and yada, yada, yada. So fast forward to, you know, I get down to San Antonio, Texas, and the first thing I do is at TV. So my degree is in communications, so I could always talk. And they had me do a general interview, and I said, hey, this is Brickhouse. I'm glad to be in Southwest Wrestling. I'm going straight up north, and that's straight to the top. And I'm glad to be here, and I just want all the people to support me and back me. And they thought that was a good generic interview. So they felt comfortable with the interview, so they just knew I could wrestle, you know. So the next night at the Hemisphere Arena, which was about 2,000 people there, Steve Sachs, the ring announcer and the TV commentator, came over to me when I was lacing up my brand-new wrestling boots that I'd never wore before except for in my backyard practicing wrestling moves on the mattress. That's the only time I had put on a pair of wrestling boots and tights. So anyway, Steve Sachs comes over to me and says, son, he said, Brickhouse, I got the finish for you. He said, we're going to build you up to be the black superstar, and you're going against Bobby Jaggers. He's our Southwest champion. And he said, here's the finish. And I'm looking at him like wondering what the hell is he talking about, finish? What is that? And he told me, he said, well, the finish is going to be Don Carson is going to come in the ring. He said, we're going to make you a drop kick specialist. And you're going to drop kick Don Carson. He's going to drop the gimmick. You're going to pick it up. You're going to nail Don Carson and nail Bobby Jaggers. Then we're going to send the other heels out, and you're going to drop kick everybody come in the ring. And you're going to dance and do your thing. And he said, that's why we're going to start the program with you and Bobby Jaggers, and eventually we're going to put the belt on you. He said, you got it? And just when he told me all this, what Jack Briscoe told me in the gym started ringing a bell. I mean, ding, 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 ding. This is one of them ribs. This guy want me to go out here and look stupid and let them do all of this to me. And I said, I got news for them. I have my own plan. You got to understand, I won a state in high school 3 years straight. And then I wrestled for Auburn. We didn't have a wrestling team. We had a wrestling club, and we always competed against other colleges. And, I mean, I have amateur background. So I could always handle myself. And once me and Bobby Jaggers got in the ring, I had one thing in mind, because all I know is I saw Bobby Jaggers hanging people over the ropes with this hangman noose, and I was saying to myself, he is not going to do that to me. So when we locked up, I was in there shooting my butt off. And lo and behold, when I put him into a chicken wing and he started squealing like a pig, I became very proud of myself, because I said, this is the same guy I saw on television beating all these people to death and hanging them with a hangman noose. And this sucker is like Hubba Bubba, not a speck of trouble, you know. And Jack Ham, the referee, came over, and he started counting like he was trying to get me to break the hole. He said, Brickhouse, what are you doing? In a minute, he's about to give up, and I'm going to win this belt. He said, no, Brickhouse. He said, are you smart? And I thought he insulted me then. I said, smart? I said, I just graduated out of Auburn University. Where the hell did you come out of? What school did you come out of? He said, no, are you smart to the wrestling business? This is all set up. And then again, that bell started ringing. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, this got to be another rib. He said, whatever you do, Don Carson is going to come in the ring and nail you in the back of the head with the gimmick. He said, whatever you do, just don't get up. Just lay there. And they wanted to get out of the match in the kind of way he could, right? So in comes Don Carson, punched me in the back of the head with the gimmick, which was a working punch. I didn't feel a thing. But Lord McPoe, I've never trained, so I didn't know how to sell. So I thought that was the best punch he had. I got up and I said, that's the best you got. And I turned around and picked that gimmick up. And back then they were using real gimmicks. You know, when they take something up, it was a real gimmick in case it got out in the audience. So I picked it up and I reeled back and I hit Don Carson in the head so solid. He took a bump and rolled out of that ring and started hauling Boogie back to the dressing room. And he looked around and told Bobby Jagged, I remember them words like yesterday. He said, you're on your own on this one, Bobby. And kept going back to the dressing room. And the referee, you know, DQ'd the match. He rung the bell. That's how we got out of the match. So I was disappointed that I didn't win the bell because I looked at him and I said, what'd you do that for? You know, I was really pissed off because he stopped me from winning the title, right? So when I walked back to the dressing room, I'm very proud of myself. My chest is sticking out, and I'm saying,
feeling real good.
You know, I'm ready for that contract now. I thought I was going to sign a huge contract, and I thought once I got back in the dressing room, the confetti was going to fall, and we were going to have a party. And when I got back to the dressing room, I mean, you could hear a pin drop. And I sat down, and my mind, instead of telling me that I was horrible and that I was a drizzling, you know, shiznits, my mind told me that they were jealous and didn't want to give me my props, and they were hating on me, you know, because I did so good in my first match. So Joe Blanchard walked over to me. I'm mad like a mug because then I'm thinking they're not giving me my props. Joe Blanchard walked over to me and said, son, he said, how long did you say you were in the wrestling business? I looked up at him as I was unlacing my brand new boots that I had just wore for the first time in a ring. I said, well, sir, I'm taking my boots off. I said, I'm going to tell you the truth. I told y'all I've been wrestling 2 years, so y'all would bring me in, and I show y'all what I can do, and you give me a contract. And I done showed you what I can do. Where's the contract? Now, this is a true story I'm telling you now. Where's the contract? He said, you told what? You said you've been wrestling 2 years and you never had a match? I said, no, sir. I know you find that hard to believe because I thought I was just the greatest thing, bro. I said, I know you find that hard to believe, but that was my first match. He said, hold that thought. He called all the guys, you know, from the other dressing room, and he said, now tell them what you just told me. Because you got to remember, all these guys were giving me plugs and trying to get me over. So I stood up. I said, oh, okay, this is when the party going to start now. I stood up. I said, guys, y'all going to find this hard to believe. But that was my first match. And I'm thinking everybody was going to applaud and clap like, hey, man, he did a great job. Because you got to remember, you had guys in there like, I'll tell you who was there. Terry Funk, Adrian Adonis, the Barbarian, Dory Funk Jr., Chavo Guerrero. I mean, it was some guys in the dressing room, brother. Yes, man. Sir. Yes, sir. You know, and those guys looked at me, and everybody started filing out, and Joe Blanchard said, son, he said, I don't know whether to shake your hands or get all of these guys to whoop your butt. That's not how he put it, but he said, but whoop your butt. He said, but, he said, it took a lot of guts to do what you did. And he said, looking at you, we got to salvage this, and you have your behind down to the junction every single day for somebody to train you right, and we're going to see if we can make some money with you. So every day I went down to the junction. It was guys like Terry Funk would be there one day, be there the next day, and then there was some Mexican guys like Jesse Ortega, Chavo. So a bunch of different guys trained me, so no one guy trained me, but there would never, ever be another way, a way for wrestlers to get in the business like I did. I literally booked myself into the wrestling business off of a lie. And see, whenever I started, you know, Jack Briscoe, you know, when I went back to Florida, Jack looked at me and said, man, he said, we saw that first match that you had, and he said, I got it on tape. I said, Jack, please give me a copy of that. He said, oh, no, my brother. He said, because when I feel depressed and sad, I popped that bad boy into the VHS, and he said, I fire one up, and he said, I get happy and laugh all over again. And that's how I got in the wrestling business, brother.
That is the most remarkable story that I've ever heard for anyone getting in the wrestling business.
Nobody would never, ever be able to get in there. You know? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to let the fans know they're listening to the Devereux Committee of Pro Wrestling, here on the Idiot Radio Network, and we have Brickhouse-Brown, wrestling legend, and he probably has the best wrestling story on how to ever break into the business. I can't believe this. I really can't. Now, that was a different time. That was a totally different time compared to now.
Oh yeah, you can get away with that now.
Yeah, because
you could not get away with that now.
Well,
because now with social media, they got all the ways that they can see if you can work now. See, and plus exactly. WWE, I don't care if you're a veteran, you're gonna go through their system in there. You're gonna go through their farm system first before they bring you up. I mean, look at what they do with guys like Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode. Those guys are seasoned veterans, but they still had to go through the farm league program, NXT.
Which is, it's actually kind of laughable because you said Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode. Those are two guys that you can put on any card and know that these guys are going to sell you tickets. And they had them go down to the farm system just to get the WWE seasoning. They wanted to throw their salt on it first before they put them on the main roster. And quite frankly, these two guys are on the main roster now, and they're doing exceptionally well. And I'm not surprised. Right. I know you're not surprised. The wrestling fans, they're not surprised. But I think they're surprising the WWE because if they really felt that these guys were good enough to be on the main roster from day one, they would have put them on the main roster day one. For some reason, it just seems like they rather toy with guys like that. But we'll talk about the WWE.
It's not that. It's not that. I mean, they have a system that they want everyone to go through, and they want you to work and wrestle the way that they want you to work and wrestle. They have to retrain you or reprogram you, and that's what they do. So there's nobody that will ever just...
Why do you think they do that? Yeah.
Because, like I said before, when Vince says that, he created the WWE universe, he definitely means what he's saying, because everybody that's in that universe, everybody that wrestles on his card, have to have the same mentality, the same deal as what they want you to wrestle like. I mean, I could come up with my style, and they could go, "Oh, hell no, that's not acceptable. You're going to go through the system," and then they retrain you. In other words, I don't care who you are, they retrain you. I mean, they're getting all of these people from Japan, and they have to go through the system too. And these guys are proven talent. Even the females are proven talent. But you have to go through their system. They have to reprogram you, in other words.
That's exactly the word. I just wrote that down. They are reprogramming you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, reprogramming.
And see, that's another problem that I have with the business today, because once you get reprogramming in the WWE, you really can't go anywhere after that. Once you're set in their ways, you can go elsewhere, but you can't make the money that you were making up there in TNA or Ring of Honor or one of these other organizations. But it feels like, you hear a lot of guys who leave, they say a lot of bad things about the company. But as soon as that company calls them back, they find their way back up there. And I think we're going to see that. Go ahead.
Well, simply because it's a known fact. You're not going to make the type of money that Vince is able to pay you. But, like myself, when I left WWE, I still made six figures because I would go to Japan and I would go to Mexico, and I would work the small territories. And I would stay a year in one territory and make $50,000, then go to another territory after another year and then make another $50,000. And I would, keep my six figures going that way. And I knew a long time ago not to, sign over on that dotted line where he could own me. And that's why when my contract was up the first time, they were going to renew it for $50,000 and give me a raise, and that was going to bump me up to $250,000 a year. Now, $250,000 is a lot of money now, but back in the 80s, it was fantastic money. So, but I decided to go away, and I went to Japan. I went for Inoki, and I would have half the workload, but I made super money, and I still would average, the worst I've done in the business is about $75,000. That's the worst year I've had in the business, and that was basically my first few years in the business. Yep.
Well, how did
The wrestling business, I have no horror stories to tell. It was always good to me. I never paid any dues. Promoters always wanted to use me because of the way I looked. And, Jim Crockett had the best idea because after I left Southwest Championship Wrestling, I went to the Fullers in Alabama with Continental Wrestling. And, of course, they stuck me in with this guy named Jerry Stubbs and put a mask on me, and we were the Olympians. And what it was he was supposed to turn on me, and I was supposed to start working a program with him. But they put us in against the original Midnight Express, which was Dennis Condrey and Norvell Austin.
Oh, Norvell Austin. Oh, my. Wow. Now, that's the name we haven't heard in so long. Wow.
Yeah. And we got in the match that first night. They put me in the semi-main event with the Midnight Express, which I wasn't ready for. And I stunk the place out, and I was so stiff from amateur wrestling that when they told me to tag out, they kayfabed the tag for me the rest of the match. They wouldn't let me back in the ring. And after I went back to the dressing room, I was hot because they wouldn't let me back in the ring, and I didn't understand why. It's because they wanted to have a good match. And as long as I was in the ring, the match was going to be a spinkaroo. So when I got back to the dressing room, I'm hot. Why didn't you guys tag me back in? Blah, blah, blah. Bob Armstrong came and told me, he said, son, you're not on the level that we needed you to be. So we're going to have to give you a notice, which was my first time, actually getting fired. I said, a notice? He said, yeah, we're going to finish you up in 2 weeks. I said, oh, okay. And I was so depressed, and I didn't understand why. So I just worked the territory for the last 2 weeks. And on my last night there, they had enough nerve to give me a junior United States heavyweight title shot. On my last night there, this guy by the name of Golden Boy Chick Donovan was
another
junior heavyweight champion. Huh?
That's another name
I've
heard. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Okay.
And that
that's
was my plan.
I
said, okay, they're giving me a title shot on my last night here. So you got to remember, I wasn't still totally all the way smart. I still was pretty much a mark that knew how amateur wrestling shoot. So my idea was, okay, if I go in here and win the belt, there's no way they can fire me. They'd have to have me wrestle then. They can't fire the champ. So when I got in the ring, all the finish that they had them came up with went right out the door. My main focus was win the belt. So I went out and I proceeded to just tear in the Chick Donovan, and by the time I got through, poor Chick didn't know what was going on, and I actually won the belt. And I jumped up and down, elated, and I walked back to the dressing room and passed by Bob Armstrong and Robert Fuller, and he goes, what the hell are you doing? And I go, hey, I just won the United States Junior Heavyweight title. You can't finish me up now. You got to book me. Yeah. You got to book me. And they were 38 hot at me because, they had filmed the damn thing. So, they had to scrap all of that because they would have shown me just whooping the hell out of Chick Donovan. And he said, son, you got a long way to go in this business. Give me that belt. And then, I went back because I was living with Norvell Austin at the time. And I went back home to the apartment depressed. And Norvell came in and he told me, he said, Brick, he said, man, he said, it's not a problem. You're just green. You just don't know. And he said, but back there in that time, they booked you. You didn't have to have a place to go. They would book you. When they finish you up, they would book you. So they had me booked in the Carolinas in the Mid-Atlantic area. And I went there, and the first time that they had me on the show, on a match, Jim Crockett came out and looked at the match and said, there's nothing wrong with Brickhouse. He just got to learn the mechanics, and we'll keep him off TV for 6 months before we put him on TV because they wanted to do something with me. And so for 6 months, I just worked around the territory on house shows. The territory was so big, I could work the house shows, and I still was making $700-800 a week because I was in the middle, on the bottom. I was first, second, third match, And then one day they called me in.
Experience.
Yes, and they called me in the office one day, and I thought at that point in time they were calling me in to fire me because the night before I had wrestled this guy named Gary Royal, and he and I had shared a hotel room. And back then, kayfabe was really strict. If you got caught hanging out with the person that you were wrestling, they fired you on the spot. That kayfabe was serious back then.
Yes.
So Wahoo McDaniel had saw me and Gary.
But...
yeah. Wahoo McDaniel had saw me and Gary Royal going into the same hotel room together the day before they called me to the office. So when they called me the next day, my mind thinking, Wahoo saw us, told that me and Gary Royal were sharing a room together, and I thought they were going to fire me. So I pull up into the parking lot of the office, and I had to be there at 2 o'clock, and it was 15 minutes before 2, and I would go up to the door, and then I'd turn around because I was scared as hell to go in there because I didn't want to get fired again. So I'm sitting out in my car, and I go back up to the door and get ready to go in the office and turn back around and go sit back in the car. So after a while, this is like 10 after 2, so I just go into the building, and I sit there, go into the office, and you got Wahoo McDaniel, Gary Hart, Big Cat Ernie Ladd, Dusty Rhodes, and Jim Crockett and David Crockett. All the big guys was in the office. And Jim Crockett looked at me and said, I'm glad you can join us. And he said, you don't be late when we call them, you be on time. I said, well, I was out in the parking lot. I just was scared to come in. And, because, if you guys going to fire me, he said, why would we fire you? And I said, oh, well, I just thought maybe y'all was firing me because you didn't like my work. I wasn't going to give myself up to him and tell him I was staying with Gary Roy if Wahoo hadn't said anything. So he said, no, sit down. He said, we've been watching you now for the past few months, and we kept you off the TV. He said, but now it's time to start putting you on TV and see if we can make some money with you. He said, you got Big Cat Ernie Ladd tonight in Winston-Salem, and he's going to do the favor for you. And he said, if you don't do it right, Brickhouse, I won't give you another chance. So all day long, I'm looking and thinking, oh, my God, I got Big Cat Ernie Ladd tonight. Oh, my God, what the hell? I'm intimidated and scared. I'm scared out of my mind.
Of course.
So that night in Winston-Salem, they had Rufus R. Jones in my corner. And Ernie Ladd tore into, we had the match, and it was a good solid match. I did most of the selling, and I'd roll out, and Rufus would pretend like he was putting a bug in my ear, and I'd get back in here and tearing Ernie Ladd's butt for a few minutes, and then he'd take back over. Finally, the finish was, he'd shoot me up into the turnbuckle. I'd climb up and hit him with a missile drop kick, and that's what I used to use for a finish. And he laid down and did it 1, 2, 3. And, he got his heat back up on me after that, but the fact of the matter is that's how I got introduced to the Mid-Atlantic area. Big Cat did the favor for me, and it was uphill ever since then,
Man, you know what? We're going to take a break real quick. We're going to take a break real fast, and when we get back, we're going to get back to some more of these stories because this is incredible. We have Brickhouse-Brown here on the Devereux Committee of Pro Wrestling, here on the Idiot Radio Network. We'll be right back after this break.
For all your heating and cooling needs, service, and installation, contact our friends at Complete Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning, 412-513-3001. Doesn't your family deserve complete comfort? Looking for a creative idea for meetings, business lunches, and special events? Call Spiels on Wheels, Food Truck and Catering, and take the stress away. For more information, call them at 724-244-9881 or on Facebook at facebook.com/spielson.wheels.
You're listening to Idiot Radio, taking it to the edge and back.
Pizza and Gyro Express, 801 O'Neill Boulevard in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. For menus, coupons, specials, and catering info, visit our website at pizzaandgyroexpress.com. Order online or by phone at 412-672-2182. Don't forget about the lunch buffet and drink every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for just $10. The original Pizza and Gyro Express. Don't settle for anything less.
And we are back here at the Devereux Committee of Pro Wrestling with legendary performer, wrestler, athlete. Man, you can throw so many names at you. Brickhouse. But we got Brickhouse-Brown here.
The best thing to describe me is the original OG.
The original OG. Well, you know what? We could, well, you know, because we could go so many directions in this interview. But since you said that, you are the original OG. Explain to these wrestling fans who are listening to this show why you consider yourself the original OG and why I consider you the original OG, because you have you started a bunch of guys in this business, and I think people need to understand. I mean,
well, first of all, because I'll sum it up like this with one of my famous rhymes. You know, here it goes. You know, I'm great in this business, but I'm fantastic when I got a partner. But I'm great when I'm alone, and I'm still the baddest mamma jamma when it comes to spitting on the microphone. And that sums it up, because I consider myself, and so do a lot of other people, to be one of the best talkers in the wrestling business today. And a lot of people have taken my stuff and went on to make money with it, and I have no problems with that. I just wish some of them would cut me a check and send me some money off of it, you know, do the right thing, you know.
Well, yeah.
But we can go with a who's who. I mean, I helped train Booker T and his brother, Stevie Ray. I trained Lex Luger in Tampa, Florida. I trained Ron Simmons in Tampa, Florida. I trained Diamond Dallas Page in Tampa, Florida. Of course, they went to the power plant after they left Florida and got, you know, finished, got the rough edges smoothed out. But initially, I started all of those guys in the ring in Tampa, Florida. Lex Luger, Ron Simmons, and Diamond Dallas Page. And as a matter of fact, like I said before, it's like a who's who of who I've trained a lot of other guys that didn't go on to make it a name for themselves. But, you know, for the most part, most of the guys that I trained went on to make money in this business, because when I trained them, I made sure that I didn't turn them loose until they were ready.
Unlike so-called trainers today, they take the money from the wrestler or from the prospective client, and a week later, that client is in the ring, and the trainer has $2,000 in his pocket, and you know how it goes after that.
Well, it's like this. When guys, because I used to charge $3,500, you know, to train a guy. And when the guys would say, well, I can go right down the road to a guy that's only charging $700 to train. I said, well, the first thing you should do is when you go to a guy to train you for wrestling, you look at what he has done for his career first,
exactly,
before you determine what he can do for your career. Because if he hadn't done anything for his career, what the hell is he going to do for you? And that's what I tell people. Here, I train people, and I pick up the phone, and you train with me from 6 months to a year. And then after that, I pick up the phone, and I get you booked, and I get you booked on shows with me, and I put you on the road. I put you on the map. And I guarantee all my guys bookings when I train them. You know,
and see, honestly, besides the training, it's the connections that they're paying for. It's no different than college. You know, when you go to college, you get into a fraternity. You know, you're not getting to the fraternity, you know, it's because you really want to be in one. You're getting in there because you need the connections, you know, for the rest of your life. And sometimes you never know who you're going to meet in that fraternity, but you know everyone has the same goal, and that's to be successful in life. So when you get into the wrestling business today, a lot of these kids now who sign up, they want to be successful, but the problem is they hear that cheap price, and then they go for that cheap price. Or they go and look on YouTube, and they start studying what these trainers are putting on YouTube, and then they try to do what you sort of did when you started in the business. They try to sneak in the business, you know, but it's kind of hard, like you said, to sneak in the business today. But one of my favorite places.
Well, to be honest with you, it was harder back then because it was a closed monopoly and it was a family type deal. I mean, you didn't get in wrestling unless you knew another wrestler. And back then, when I started, you had a lot of guys with these pug nose and cauliflowers, and they could really do some serious damage to you if they didn't want you in. I was just blessed by the grace of God that people like me, the wrestlers like me, and they wanted to work with me because in all actually, honest with you, I've seen a lot of guys that got booked into the business and they broke them up, and that's the way the business was. They would break you up, dislocate your shoulder, dislocate your knee, and make sure that you left there on a stretcher. And that way, when you talk to people, you say, oh, those guys are dangerous. They're real, you know, da-da-da-da. And I was just so fortunate and blessed that none of the guys actually got me in the ring and tried to shoot on me.
Well, okay, let's be real now. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were built like your name, a brick house. Number one,
mm-hmm.
and number two, you were able to defend yourself as well. So I'm pretty sure the guys stopped twice before they'd even, hey, we're going to try to do something just, to teach you a lesson. As they would do,
mm-hmm.
as they would do certain guys, they would teach you a lesson. But I'm pretty sure a guy wouldn't think about teaching you a lesson.
Well, that was true. But trust me on this. They had guys back then. They were called hookers, and they would actually be able to tear me a new butthole if they wanted to. You had guys like Gordon Nelson, Bill White. These were old seasoned veterans that were job boys. But if they grabbed you and the promoter told them to do something to you, there was nothing you would be able to do, because a hooker can defeat a shooter anytime, an amateur wrestler. The art of hooking is long gone. Any guys that I can think of in the business right now that know how to hook, because it's not passed down anymore. When I say hooking is basically what Luthez was doing and what Danny Hodge was doing, and the art is long past now because you don't have anybody to pass it down. The old timers like Terry Funk and Dory Funk that knew how to hook, they're gone now, and they're not passing it down to these young kids now. And I would like to think that I'm the last of the old school that actually, know how to hook and show some guys. I'm not a hooker by far, any means of the stretch, but they showed me a few things to be able to take care of myself, because a hooker is definitely way more dangerous than an amateur wrestler. So,
wow.
But if they really wanted to break me up, they had people that could have done that. It just so happened that they actually thought that I was money. So basically the promoter saw something in me and instructed the people, the wrestlers, not to hurt me, to be honest.
Do you miss those days?
Of course I miss those days, because there were so many companies to work for. I mean, if Jerry Jarrett would piss me off, then I would call up Robert Fuller or Ron Fuller and say, hey, I want to come and work for you guys. They would have me booked 2 weeks later. If they pissed me off, I would call Eddie Graham up in Florida and say, Eddie, I'm ready to come home. And I would go home for a while until I found the place that I wanted to go. I could always go to a different company and work. I'm one of the few guys that I've never been turned down, to go wrestle anywhere. And that's a testament to my work ethic and the way I look. I didn't just go on having a body. I actually like to perform in the ring.
Yeah, I know. That was and see, I'll tell you this: when The Rock finally broke through and became The Rock, he reminded me a lot of Brickhouse. I kid you not, he reminded me a lot of Brickhouse. And I know you guys shared some time together down there in the Memphis days. Did you see what we were going to see, years later with Dwayne Johnson? Did you see The Rock, back then in those days when he was Flex Cavana?
To be honest with you, I did. Because at that point in time, I was one of the top guys in Memphis, and I was teaming with Reggie B. Fine. I was teaming. That's another guy that I broke into business. I don't know if you're familiar with Reggie B, but he used to be a manager for me and Iceman King Parson. But anyway, he was my tag team partner at the time, and we were the world tag team champions. And they brought in Flex Cavana and Bart Sawyer. And the deal was we were supposed to drop the belt to them. Well, when it came time to do that, I let it be known that you were going to beat Reggie B for the belt, but you weren't going to pin Brickhouse. And Flex didn't understand that at the time, and I said because of the fact that what would it prove, to me and be conducive to me if I let you pin me for the belts when you could pin Reggie, and then Reggie and I could work the program with you, and I can keep my name, my brand strong like it's supposed to be, because basically I was a single wrestler, but I excelled in tag teams too, And years later, when I went to WWE, Rock reminded me of that. He said, "Yeah, I can," because I had brought my students in the, in the back area. I used to call, up and get tickets and bring my students there to give them some incentive. That this is where you want to go. This is what you want to do, and they treat you like professionals here. And I introduced them to Rock and a few of the other guys that I had known that came through my hands. And Rock said, oh, yeah, I remember the time when I was in Memphis and Brickhouse refused to do a job for me. And I said, well, Rock, I said, have you learned your lesson that it wasn't personal, it was just business? I said, now, if you were on the card right now and Vince McMahon told you to do a job for Hardcore Holly, with you being the Rock, would you do a job for Hardcore Holly? Hell no, you wouldn't, because Hardcore Holly was not on the same level as you unless y'all were planning on putting him in that spot with you. At that point in time, when I refused to do the job for Reggie and let you beat Reggie, it's because I was going to break up the team and I was going back into a single deal. So there's no way I was going to lay down. It wouldn't have been conducive for my career. And he said, oh, now I finally get it. I understand. It's not that I didn't refuse to do jobs. I mean, because I refused to do jobs a lot of times. But I've done more business than I have refused to do business. And, that's one of the things. I can remember when I was getting ready to go wrestle Jeff Jarrett for the Continental Belt in Evansville, Indiana. But they made the mistake of giving me my check first, and it was $100 short. So I kindly packed up my bag, put the belt in my trunk, and went home. And because Ernie Ladd had always taught me, no matter if it's $1 short, do not go out and wrestle, because if they mess with your money and it's not what you agreed upon and you go out and wrestle, then why should they pay you a guarantee if you're going to go out and wrestle for what they pay you anyway? And that made sense to me.
That's so funny that you bring that up, because we have this argument. I run a small company up here in Pittsburgh, outside of Pittsburgh. Help a consultant, help some friends out. And these guys are having this same dilemma. A lot of guys today, the workers today, they're willing to go and wrestle for free. They're willing to go and do that. It's not because they don't look at it, to be honest with you. See, they don't look at it like you guys did. You guys looked at it as a business, as a way to feed your family. These guys just look at it as a way, they look at it, they're too much into the art of the wrestling business. They're too much into the wrestling part of the wrestling business instead of the business. And I think that's why a lot of the independent promotions are as crappy as they are, because they don't bring in workers who are willing to work for the money that they're given, because a lot of these guys aren't getting money at all. So they'll just bring in anybody. They'll bring in anybody for free.
Most of the independent guys that are working, they're trying to get ring time, and they're trying to go up and down the roads, and most of them have other jobs now, because most of the guys now that want to be in the wrestling business have to be a weekend warrior, and that's because most of the wrestling now is just done on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, on the independent circuit, I mean. Back when I started out, we worked every night. So if I messed up something on a Monday night, I could correct it the next night, in Louisville, Kentucky. And if I messed up in Louisville, then the next night I can correct it in Chicago. If I messed up in Chicago, in other words, what I'm saying is I got so much ring time. And when these guys now say, well, I've been in the wrestling business 10 years, but I can look at that match and say, okay, you've been in 10 years. Let's see, two days out of the week for 10 years. You've had about maybe 600 matches altogether. As of now, at last count, my match, I lost count. I got up to 3,700, and it might be more. We didn't keep up with those things back then like that, but I do know at last count it was 3,700. And that's the difference now. Like, the guys don't have the places to go to work every night like we did. So it's hard, and especially a guy like me that just got thrown into it and got on-the-job training, because they throw me in with top guys, and I either had to get it or quit it, Because I used to think Ernie Ladd used to hate my gut. Because of the way he used to talk to me in front of the boys. One night I had a match, and I walked back to the dressing room, and he was waiting for me. He said, what the hell was that? He said, for a black man, you ain't got no rhythm. Just talk bad to me. He said, that match was the drizzling shiznit. He said, I don't care what you say. You got a degree in communication. I suggest you find a job being an announcer because you suck as a wrestler. That's what Big Cat used to tell me, in front of all the boys. And I'd start huffing and puffing. And normally I would attack somebody for saying that to me, right? But you got to remember, Ernie Ladd was 6'8", 320 pounds. So, and he was mean. You know, he was legitimately mean. You know, Ernie went to Japan and hit the promoter, Antonio Inoki, in the back of the head and knocked him out. And you don't just do that when you go to Japan because you're in Japan, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, making a long story short, I thought Ernie hated my guts because that was in the Carolinas. That was in the Mid-Atlantic area. So after I had left there and went to Florida, Ernie Ladd was my staunch enemy. And my man, I couldn't stand the man, and I said, from now on out, I don't want to be in the same dressing room with him. I don't want to be around him. But anyway, I'm down there in Florida, and I'm having a good run. They're not putting me on the top because Dusty was on top down there. And, of course, Kevin Sullivan was the top heel. So I'm down there in Florida working in the middle in a tag team called the Breakers. That's when breakdancing was out. And we come out and do our little break thing, and then all of a sudden, I'm doing good. We're working with the Guerreros, Chavo and Hector, and we worked some good matches with a few of the guys. And it was just one of them things to where the other guy was not progressing as much, so they weren't happy with his performance. And one night in the Bahamas, me and the guy, Johnny Condori, that was the tag team partner, we was wrestling against Superstar Billy Graham and Kevin Sullivan. And Superstar Billy Graham said, okay, Brickhouse, he said, we're going to put you over in this match. He said, go up on that top rope after we tell you to and hit me with that missile drop kick, and that's going to be the match. That wasn't the finish that we originally had planned, but because of my performance in the ring and because of the way Superstar felt about me, he decided to make my name on the map and do the favor for me. And I went up on the top rope, did the missile drop kick, and he laid down for me. And then the next night in Miami, Dusty Rhodes gave me a notice. He said, Brickhouse, I'm sorry, I got to finish you up. You know, I gave you 2 weeks' notice. And I go, what? I said, but I just beat Superstar Billy Graham last night. He did the favor for me. Why you finishing me up? I'm thinking I'm doing a good job. He said, well, you are doing a good job. He said, but we got to make some changes and bring in some people. And he said, unfortunately, you know, Dory Funk coming in with the book, and I'm going to the Carolinas, and he got other plans. So there again, you know, man, I was depressed, walking around and you know, in the shows the rest of the 2 weeks, like I was just had lost my mama. And the last night there, Kevin Sullivan and Dusty Rhodes looked at me and said, well, what's wrong with you? I said, well, you gave me up. I said, you're finishing me up for 2 weeks, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Hold on just a minute. I'm on the radio show. Go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he said, what you sad about? I said, man, I love wrestling home in Florida, and you guys done fired me. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay around here until y'all want to use me again. And he go, what? He said, man. He said, let me tell you something. He pulled me over to the side. He said, the reason I fired you is because Bill Watts want you to come to the Mid-South area. Junkyard Dog has walked out on him and left to go to New York. And he need another black guy to come in. And I didn't think so at the time. I'm not going to Bill Watts. He only like big guys, and I'm not going up in there. He's not going to do anything with me. But lo and behold, they flew me into Shreveport. Saw Bill Dundee pick me up, and Ernie Ladd was sitting there in the office when I went in, and I go, oh, hell no, not him. You know, because remember now, I thought he hated me, right?
Yes.
So it was Bill Dundee, Bill Watts, and Big Cat Ernie Ladd, and Grizzly Smith, Jake the Snake's dad. I went and shook everybody's hand except for Ernie Ladd, and Bill Watts looked at me, and he goes, what did you just do? I go, what do you mean, sir? He said, you walked in the building and shook everybody's hand but Big Cat. Why? I said, well, me and him had some problems in the Mid-Atlantic area, and I figured it's best if I don't say nothing to him and he don't say nothing to me, and then we all right. And he looked at me and said, he cursed me like I'd never been cursed before. I didn't know who the hell a brickhouse-brown was. And he said, Ernie Ladd, the one that told me that the man to get the job done, to take Junkyard Dog place, was a guy named Brickhouse-Brown. He said, I didn't know who the hell you were. And he said, now you go over there and you shake his hand because you got him to thank for you being here. and I've already a short hill of a thing, and I felt like this tall.
Yes, sir.
I finally I slammed over to him with my head down, and I looked up and reached up to him and shook his hand. I said, man, I'm so sorry. I apologize. He said, well, brother, he said, my backyard is so big, my kids have to have 3-wheel motorcycles to ride around and play in it. He said, I got so many rooms in my house, I have to check them out at night to make sure nobody's staying in my room in my house when I'm not there. And he said, I got mine. Do you want yours? And right then and there, that's when I said, but I thought you hated me. He said, this is what I did. He said, I was on you like that in the Mid-Atlantic area because you got a degree in communication. And so many guys waste their time in the wrestling business when they're not going to make anything of themselves. And he said, I knew you had the talent. He said, that's why I got on you, to make you be even more talented and get out there and bust your butt. He said you was going to either get better or get out. And he said, I wanted you to just get out in time to go get your job doing your degree before it got too late. And he said, now it's time for you to make some money, shut your mouth and learn and do what they tell you to do. And, brother, they pushed me so hard. Ernie went right out there after that and did a 15-second drop kick for me. I dropped this clothesline, hit that top rope, and hit that missile drop kick 1, 2, 3. The people went nuts because they had to try to get me over fast so the people can forget about dog. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, they did, and they did too, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
You know what? We're going to take a break real fast. We're going to take a break real fast, and when we come back, we're going to play a name game. Just want to toss some names at you, get your opinions, and see what you think. But you're listening to the Devereux Committee here on Idiot Radio Network, and we have Brickhouse-Brown here on the line. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Idiot Radio, taking it to the edge and back.
Looking for a creative idea for meetings, business lunches, and special events? Call Spiels on Wheels, Food Truck and Catering, and take the stress away. For more information, call them at 724-244-9881 or on Facebook at facebook.com/spielson.wheels. Pizza and Gyro Express, 801 O'Neill Boulevard in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. For menus, coupons, specials, and catering info, visit our website at pizzaandgyroexpress.com. Order online or by phone at 412-672-2182. Don't forget about the lunch buffet and drink every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for just $10. The original Pizza and Gyro Express. Don't settle for anything less.
Does your dog or cat need some much-needed attention and pampering? Money Paws, full grooming salon for dogs and cats, featuring full-service dog and cat grooming, bath and brush, haircuts, nails, ears, teeth, and rear-end cleanup. All done with extra love and attention. It's Money Paws. Schedule an appointment today at 412-207-8250.
And we are back here, Devereux Committee-of-Pro Wrestling, here on the Idiot Radio Network. And we got wrestling legend, superstar, Brickhouse-Brown. And Brickhouse, you know, we're going to have to do this again and again and again because, you know, I have so much to get to with you. And our hour is almost up. So, but what I'm going to do is...
Man, the time went so fast. I guess I've been running my mouth nonstop.
That's what I want, though. I want to hear stories. I want to hear what it was like, you know, when I used to watch it and actually enjoy it. When I was in school and, you know, make my little paper belts or my cardboard belts, and I would beat up my little friends in the hallways or the bathrooms as if I was doing an attack, you know, with me and my little friends. You know, we always had our little groups. I want to play some name game here.
Okay.
One of the first guys that actually had me watching professional wrestling was Iceman King Parsons. You got any good Parsons stories for me?
Oh my God, I love Iceman to death. Matter of fact, it's so ironic that he was my best tag team partner that I worked with, but I never won a belt with Iceman. I won belts with Norvell Austin. I won the World Tag Team belts with Reggie B. Fine. and I won it with this guy called the Gambler, and then I won the World Tag Team title again with Sweet Daddy Falcone, 3 times World Tag Team Champion. And with Iceman, we never got that break to do that simply because of politics. But Iceman and I were working against each other before we teamed up. As a matter of fact, I won the Texas title from Iceman. So, but our interviews that we used to do, Iceman is one of the few guys that I know that can compete with me on the microphone, word for word. And our interviews used to be so intense because he would say something and then I would come back and say, well, you got that attitude, Iceman, because you don't know who your daddy is. Every time your mama bring a nigga home, she would say, you would go, you my daddy. That's the type of interviews that we were doing at the time, And lo and behold, we had one of the pay-per-views, the Superclash in Chicago, and I didn't get the Texas belt from him then, but that following week in Dallas, I won the Texas belt from him. And I kept the belt for about 6 months and just, working with different people here and there. And Eric Embry was the booker at the time and wasn't doing anything with me. And I go, Eric, I said, what's going on, man? Why are we not doing anything? I'm the Texas champion, but yet still I'm not working anybody with any meaning. He said, well, Brick, he said, we're going to make some changes, and he said, we're going to build up this other guy, Gary Young, and we want you to work with him, and we're going to put the strap on him. And I said, okay, that's fine. But I said, are we going to work a program? And he goes, right now, we don't know yet what we're going to do. And I said, well, then I tell you what, when you figure out what you're going to do, then you tell me, and then I'll drop the belt when you know what you're going to do after that. And I refused to drop the belt to him that night. So the next night, when I was in the shower, taking a shower, Bronco Lubitsch, as a matter of fact, the next night was TV. Bronco Lubitsch, the referee, came and took the belt out of my briefcase and gave it to Gary Young, and Gary Young went before the cameras on TV that same night, and they said that, well, we have a new Texas heavyweight champion, gorgeous Gary Young, who defeated Brickhouse-Brown in Waxy Haxy, Texas, some little small spot show they thought of. And I yelled out from the dressing room, and people could hear it all in the audience because it echoed pretty good. I said, yeah, but you'll never show any damn TV footage on it. People in Waxahachie, Texas wondering when the hell did that happen. You'll never show any film footage on it. And so that's why I said I had to be the first guy to lose a belt while he was in there scrubbing his butt in soap suds.
Oh, man.
Never happened before.
How about Lance Russell? We just lost him this past week. A couple of days ago, actually. But Lance Russell, former Memphis wrestling announcer.
Well,
legend.
To me, Lance was the straight man to my clown butt, because we had so much good timing, because I would come out and I would insult him, you old, molded, decrepit, Father John, Geritol, taken, senile, arthritic, old fool. And he'd go, oh, break out, that's not necessary. You're not wrestling me. You got the king, Jerry Law. And that's how we would play off each other. And I had great times with Lance, and we had perfect timing, and that's what was entertaining the people, because we did it live back then. We was live before WWE, before WCW. Memphis Wrestling was live. It was live for 2 hours, and you had to be on the go to get it. There was no time to stop and say, okay, cut, let's do it again. Once you did it, you had to do it, and that's why me and Lance Russell had so much good timing, because I would do my interviews and plugs the towns, and they always called me One Take Brick, because that's all it took, one take. And it got to the point to where they stopped telling me what to say on the TV and just gave me a scenario and let me put it in my own words, And then I have to give credit where it's due. Lawler is the first guy to turn me heel. And he said, you're not a babyface, Brickhouse. He said, your interviews are so heelish. He said, we're going to switch you heel. And that was the greatest thing to ever happen to me in my wrestling career. I will give him that. Even though he hates my guts today, I will give him that. He switched my career around when he turned me heel. I drew nothing but money with him because my interviews were so heelish, and you would thought that I hated all white people, because I would say stuff like, hey, I'm the black man that your mama warned you about. You remind me of the white boy I used to slap upside the head in high school. I'd slap you upside the head, pow, and make you do my homework. I'd slap you one more time, pow, 12 o'clock noon, and take your little lunch money. And I'd slap you at the end of the day, pow, and take your little girlfriend. And Monday night, you just another little boy. I'm gonna slap upside the head and take your belt. These are the kind of interviews that I used to do, man. You know.
Well, I'll put it like this. Well, just for the audience that is still with us, we are off the air, but we have another 10 minutes here to where I can run this, and this is for those who likes to listen to the show afterwards. But speaking of Jerry Lawler, give me Lawler. I mean, you know, the guy has many stories about him, and there's thousands of opinions on Jerry Lawler. What's your
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. What was your question?
What's your opinion on Jerry Lawler?
What's my opinion of Jerry Lawler?
Yes.
A brilliant mind for wrestling. A brilliant mind. No doubt about it. A brilliant mind for wrestling. Yeah. But other than that, you know, like I said before, you know, everybody to work on top, you have to be selfish and you have to be able to, you know, just build a company around you. And exactly when somebody else came in that was going to get over, you know, of course, you only had spots that you had to get on the babyface side. Jerry Lawler was number one, and Jeff Jarrett, and Bill Dundee shared the second spot, and then you had Dutch Mantell. So as a babyface in the Memphis area, you made no money. Well, when Jerry Lawler turned me heel, that meant that I was able to work with him in the main event. And once they built me up in the main event with him and I worked the other guys in the territory, there was no looking back for me. I learned the business side of it, what to do to keep my career strong and my name going. And so that's why a lot of times, you know, if I didn't like what they were going to do, I said no. And they knew I could pick up the phone call and go any place I wanted to go to wrestle. So basically, you know, I pretty much had my way. And when I say had my way, I wasn't trying to go over on everybody. I just wanted to be business. I wanted to know what was going to be left for me. And Jerry Lawler, you know, he never understood that after we worked our program, because he called me up one day and said, well, we're bringing in these guys from Texas now, and we got you against Awesome Kong Monday night. And I said, Awesome Kong? I said, well, so what are we going to do for the finish? He said, well, we got to get these Texas guys over. And I said, so you mean to tell me you want me to put them over? I said, without a program, without anything. He said, yeah. And I said, is he going to work with me afterward? And he said, well, no. He's going to, you know, work Bill. And I said, well, tonight, man, I guess I won't be down there because I said, I'm going to put it to you this way. Would you do it? Would you go in there and lay down? If I'm the only black on the card, Memphis is 70% black, and you're going to beat the only black guy on the card for no reason, I said, that's not conducive for my career, so I won't be there. I'm telling you now, I will not show up. And ever since then, you know, Lawler just had it out for me because, of course, on my shoot tapes, I got a little more personal with it. I said, Jerry Lawler should have been born a girl, you know, and there's obvious reasons why I said that, you know. But anyway, that's what I think about Lawler. He hates me to this day, but I have no ill will, and I don't know why he hates me because I'm pretty sure that big-ass mention that he got, I put more than 20,000 bricks in it myself by the people I drew for him, you know.
Yeah.
If I made money, then he made money. You understand what I'm saying?
He made a lot of it. Yeah, you know. Exactly. He made,
So he has
Brickhouse,
no reason to
man,
be mad at me.
Well, I put it like this. I have no reason to be mad at you myself, Brickhouse, because you came on here, you blessed me, you know, with some stories, and I can't wait for you to come back on here because I still more stuff. I mean, we didn't even get into the world class stage.
You just tell me when, because right now there's a lot of things going on with me. You know, I've been diagnosed with stage 4 advanced cancer, prostate to be exactly. They give me less than 2 years to live. And right now, you know, it's just one of them things I'm going through. I don't have any insurance. And, you know, I'm just looking for the people that really cared anything about me to donate to my GoFundMe deal. And I'm just hoping that do. You know, that'll work.
And I put the GoFundMe, I put it up on the description, and I'm going to promote it myself. I want to get it out there for people because honestly and truthfully, you're one of the good guys in the business. I don't hear bad things about you. I really don't. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you can hear, you know how guys talk. You know how the boys talk in this business, so you know bad things is get around.
Well,
I don't
I've
hear.
been
I've
labeled
never
a
heard
drug
bad things
head.
about you.
I've been labeled a drug kid, and I said, but nobody can never come and say that I showed up at a match high or showed up at a match drunk. I said, any time I showed up in the ring, I gave it 100%. And I said, if you put me in a lineup against people, I said I would be the last one to be, picked out as a drug kid. So I don't care what people would say. It's because I used to hang around a lot of big-time drug dealers and a lot of pimps and stuff in Memphis and a whole lot of stuff. I would have guys down there like Rated J that were known drug dealers and DJ, Yeah. It's just one of them things. So the next time you have me on, which I'm hoping is very soon, we talk about the times when I spent with Rick James for 3 days on a drug binge, because like I said, I didn't walk around with a halo over my head. And on my shoot tapes, I talk about everybody, but I talk about myself even more,
Well, here's a chance where I'm going to talk about you. I want people to go to the GoFundMe account. Go to www.gofundme.com/brickhouse-brown battles cancer. That's GoFundMe.com/brickhouse-brown battles cancer. And, Brick, we're going to battle this thing with you because, like I said earlier, you're one of my favorites. You're one of the guys that
I appreciate that.
Inspired me to get in this business because I didn't see too many dudes that look like me. And the guys that I seen that look like me, they was getting beat up every week, like my man Rocky Johnson. Like I seen Rocky Johnson. I got nothing but respect for the bro. Look, but I seen Rocky Johnson get beat up every week on TV, and it made me so sick.
You mean Rocky King?
Rocky King, that's it. I say Rocky Johnson for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah,
but Rocky King every week. Yes, Rocky King every week on that old NWA day, the old NWA days. And I used to say, wow, I had an aunt who knew who Rocky King was because she would, oh, yeah, he's the guy who gets beat up every day, every weekend on Saturday morning. But you were one of the first guys that I seen, that looked like me, that wasn't getting beat up every week on TV. You was actually one of the dudes that was actually whooping it. So that's one of the things I remember, and I appreciate that. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. And I can't wait to get you back on here so we could talk about those world-class days. And
okay,
still got
I got a bunch of stories with them Von Erichs, bro. I got a bunch of stuff about them Von Erichs and myself. So yeah, I can't wait either, man.
Well, see, now
I
you got me interested.
Stuff to tell you about. Huh?
You got me interested. You have me interested in Von Erichs and Rick James. So now.
Oh yeah, and I can tell you some stuff about Portland, Oregon, about Playboy Buddy Rose and Billy Jack and Colonel De Beers and Armando Guerrero. Each territory, I got some stories, my brother. Got some stories, and some of them involve me to where the fans might think, oh, I couldn't believe we did that. Like the first time when I smoked weed, with in the van with Ric Flair,
Well, that's a story I can't wait.
Talk about all of
I heard that one. I heard that one, but I can't wait to get into that and let these fans hear it too who haven't heard it yet. But I want to thank you so much, Brickhouse. I really appreciate it, and man, I can't wait to have you back on here. But I want to say thank you to Brickhouse, and thank you for those who are listening. This is the Devereux Committee of Pro Wrestling here on the Idiot Radio Network.
Well, the pleasure's been all mine, even though I have sat through here.